After the lightning attack is finished, the atmosphere around Han Kang-seok becomes stable once again. He is a bit sad at the loss of his powerful item. Zeon excitedly asks him if he managed to get rid of that war beast demigod. Han Kang-seok informs her that he poured almost all of his mana into those 2 attacks. Still, it looks like he has only done the Necromancer a favor instead of completely eradicating the war beast. Meanwhile, on the other side, the war beast is still burning from the impact of the last attack, and Sungwoo, along with his party, is watching it in awe. On the surface, it seems like there is not much left of the war beast. Jisoo-yun and Hanho think that maybe the war beast is barely hanging on to his life with around 1 health point. All of a sudden, the war beast gives out a loud roar, and he is wondering if he already lost the battle. Sungwoo is moving toward the war beast, and he asks him if he is feeling bitter because he lost due to someone else's intervention. War beast tells him that he is not bitter at all, and he admits that he lost due to his lack of strength. Since the game started, he has never shown mercy to a human, not even once. So, he doesn't want to be shown mercy, and he requests the Necromancer to finish him off. After hearing it, Sungwoo quickly slashes the war beast with his Grim Reaper scythe. Sungwoo receives 340,000 gold for punishing the executive player of the Angel faction. In response to this, the Angel faction increases the bounty on the head of Sungwoo by 75,000 gold coins. Even Sungwoo is shocked to find out that Admiral Chen Gong is the executive of the Angel faction. Sungwoo looks up at the sky and he mocks the Angel faction by saying that the only thing they can do after losing their executive is to increase the bounty on his head. Hanho informs Sungwoo that he found a necklace on the dead body of the war beast. This necklace is known as the key to the Devil's Cave. It increases the user's mana by 100. Its description says upon wearing it, you can ignore monster attacks. However, the user can only get this effect if he makes a human sacrifice to the Devil's Cave periodically. The current validity period is 23 days, and every time the validity period is renewed, the user receives a Devil Gateway item. Now, Sungwoo knows how Admiral Chen Gong had so much mana, and most of his powerful items must be from this Devil's Cave, and Sungwoo is thinking about destroying it after completing the quest. Meanwhile, on the other side, there seems to be some unknown movement going on the outskirts of Suwon Town. Few high-speed players are moving toward the town. They stop on the rooftop of a building to take a 10-minute break. One of the mercenaries asks their leader if it is true that the request their mercenary group got this time is 3,500,000 gold coins. The mercenary leader informs his lackey that he has no idea about the amount of the request, and they must have received a lot of money because their target is the main base of the Necromancer. Their men seem to be tired from the journey, and the lackey informs the leader that not many personnel participated in this mission because it involves messing with the Necromancer. Their leader tells them to not worry much because they will be done with this small town even before the Necromancer returns. Their Evolution Society clients even sponsored them with these good items. This item is a mana reflux device. It can destroy spells by refluxing mana. By installing it near the barrier and pouring in mana, it will create a hole in the barrier after about 10 minutes. The mercenary leader says that even the Necromancer will not be able to freely move once his base is destroyed. At the same time, the minions of Sungwoo are massacring the monsters from the Devil's Gate. Meanwhile, Hanho is telling Jisoo-yun and Sungwoo to make a dignified expression for their viewers. Hanho then informs them that the livestream actually ended when Sungwoo got hit by Admiral Chen. They can edit and upload just enough photos to advertise and instigate people into thinking that it was a one-sided victory. Both Sungwoo and Jisoo-yun are disgusted after watching the cringe face Hanho makes. Sungwoo has a faction quest called Counterattack Operation. Its category name is Sneak Attack and Propaganda. Sungwoo needs to broadcast scenes containing great damage caused to other factions. As a reward, he will get a faction skill and a faction item. Its description says that the Angel and Devil factions watch out for the appearance of new factions. They mock Sungwoo in various ways and mobilize all methods, like declaring war even before the faction is established. This will only be a bad influence on Sungwoo and his faction's reputation. That's why Sungwoo needs to respond to this. He needs to prove his enemies wrong and make more people witness it through broadcasts. There is also a condition to this mission, which states that Sungwoo must strike first before the Angel or Devil faction strikes him, and in case the scene of Sungwoo losing is exposed, then a penalty will be given to Sungwoo. At At the same time, another notification pops up stating that the first level wave is complete, there are 2 more waves left, and the players have 20 seconds of preparation time before the next wave begins. Sung-woo now knows that the demonic beast's admiral, Chen Gong, was controlling and was a mere level 1 beast, and now more powerful monsters will come out of Hell's Gate. Sung-woo tells the players to not worry. As of now, he is well prepared to tackle whatever comes next. Sung-woo just activated a powerful hidden synergy. It requires a level 3 commander and 90 plus or more members in the party. This synergy increases attack and defense power by 7%, and the players deal 3% extra damage when attacking a single enemy together. The second synergy is called Shield Phalanx Level 2. It requires 60 or more minions equipped with shields, and it drastically increases both physical and magical defenses. There is a level 5 giant synergy active as well. It requires 50 or more giant-type minions. This synergy increases damage reduction from small and medium-sized opponents by 40%. His fourth synergy is called Ironclad Knights, and Sung-woo strengthened all of his minions using the exploited souls. There are only 15 minutes left until the effects of both the Grim Reaper Scythe and the werewolf form wear off. Once the timer is up, the Hell's Gate opens up, and giant black hands start popping out of it. The monsters pour out of the Hell's Gate in swarms. A notification pops up stating that you are being oppressed by intimidation from the external dimension. The players start feeling weak as all of their stats drop by 20%. Sung-woo thinks that maybe Admiral Chen was keeping this necklace because of these guys. The beings from Hell's Gate are terrifying, but there is something more ominous than them. The sheer scale of the minions controlled by Sung-woo and their buffs makes these monsters look like ants in front of them. Sung-woo and his minions start moving while the monsters are still a bit hesitant. Without wasting any time, Sung-woo starts slashing the beasts, and each of these monsters gives more than 500,000 gold after being slain. The players who are watching Sung-woo in action are amazed at his battle prowess. Sung-woo tries to raise the slain monster as one of his minions. Still, a notification pops up stating that you cannot raise an external dimensional being as your minion. Sung-woo starts wondering about what the external dimension beyond this gate looks like. He cannot go to that dimension, so he focuses on the current problem at home. At the same time, we get a view of what is going on the other side. The people on the island Sung-woo previously liberated are quite happy with his progress. Lee Ha-yeon was the one who brought the Necromancer to their village, so all of them started praising her. Lee is glad as well because the decision she made in the past proved to be quite useful for her and her island. On the other side, the prosecutor is watching all of this unfold with his clan. Sung-woo is wreaking havoc among his enemies, and the prosecutor tells others that Sung-woo has gotten much stronger in this short period. Min-heum-seong suggests that they should become permanent allies with the Necromancer, or they will get annihilated by him in the future. Manhwa informs her that they have no time for that, as they are in the middle of a war. At the same time, on the pirate island, the monsters are trying their best to overpower the humans, but they are easily getting defeated. Ji-soo-yeon warns the other players to stay back as these monsters are way above their pay grade. While killing some monsters, Ji-soo-yeon levels up to 17. The whole battlefield is littered with corpse explosions, and Hanho is live broadcasting all of it. After a few minutes, the second wave gets annihilated, and now there are 20 seconds left before the last wave starts. The human players start reorganizing their ranks as not much time is left. Ji-soo-yeon asks Sung-woo how much time he has left. It turns out there are only 8 minutes left, so Sung-woo needs to end the next boss wave as quickly as he can. This time, the boss monster will appear as well, so Sung-woo is thinking of tightening the siege and going on the offensive. After 20 seconds, the eyes on the gate start flashing. Some sort of particles start gathering at the front of the gate. Sung-woo realizes that something is missing. A huge fire tornado forms, and Sung-woo warns everyone to get back. His summons, which were covered in all sorts of buffs, easily get turned into dust. A notification pops up stating that the boss monster, the Devil's Gatekeeper, has appeared. The boss monster is gigantic, and his height is almost the same as the Devil's Gate, and it seems like he has a fire attribute. The boss monster has a magical staff in his hand, which indicates that he is a being capable of using magical spells. A notification pops up warning everyone that they are oppressed by intimidation from the external dimensional being, and all of their stats decrease by 50%. The low-level players can't even breathe in front of a monstrosity of such a big scale. Sungwoo also realized that this boss monster is on another level, so he should be careful while dealing with him. In the past, no matter how strong the enemy was, Sungwoo could find an opening as long as he kept on attacking. That's how he has been defeating the boss monsters that were hard to go up against. The weakness of this monster can be exposed, but it will require a lot of time, and he is about to run out of time for his demigod form. Ogre Champion gets ready to use his One-Punch Man skill. After gathering some mana, he releases all of his power in one go, but the boss monster summons a magical shield, and the shield easily negates the powerful punch. Without giving the boss monster much time to relax, all the minions rush toward him. They manage to successfully pin down the boss monster with their huge numbers and size. The boss monster still has some cards up his sleeve. He blasts away the monsters using a powerful fire tornado attack. The fire tornado spell was quite massive, and the players who witnessed it were amazed. At the same time, Hanho is still live streaming the whole thing, and he is exaggerating about the power of the boss monster to pump up the audience. Even the players watching the live stream think that today is the day the Necromancer will bite the dust. The boss monster looks quite pissed after that last attack. He starts moving toward the Necromancer. Sungwoo starts moving toward him as well. Jisoo-yoon and the other players don't know why the Necromancer is heading toward his certain death. Sungwoo is about to be crushed under the feet of the boss monster, but the boss monster steps to the side. No one knows why the boss monster just passed by while ignoring the Necromancer. It turns out that Sungwoo is using the key of the Devil's Pathway necklace. Upon wearing it, the monsters ignore the player, and the player needs to periodically keep on sacrificing humans to this item to keep it active. Sungwoo thinks that even that overwhelming, powerful monster cannot escape the power of the system. But even though he has this item, the boss monster will recognize him the moment he attacks him. Sungwoo doesn't need much time, and he gets ready to attack the boss monster. The boss monster looks back after feeling a murderous aura behind him, but it's too late, as Sungwoo has already used all of his power to stab the boss monster a lot of times. Even though the body of the boss monster is totally ruptured, his mouth is still working, and he tries to gulp up Sungwoo. Sungwoo uses his skill Twilight Raid to summon all of his previously perished minions. He then orders them all to go on all out against the boss monster. The minions start restraining the movement of the boss monster and chopping him to pieces. In the end, the Dark Knight gets ready to deal the final blow to the boss monster. Dark Knight manages to cut the boss into two pieces. Sungwoo earns 7,800,000 coins by hunting the boss monster of the Devil's Gateway. His level increases up to 22, and the time remaining until the dragon egg hatches are now reduced to 1932 days. Sungwoo obtained the title of the Devil's Gateway Hunter. His physical power and agility increased by 3 points, and his curse immunity increased by 10%. Sungwoo is quite pleased with his progress, and now he needs to choose a level-up skill card. Sungwoo chooses a new skill called the Spectre Summoning. This skill consumes 70 mana, and it summons 2 formless ghosts known as a Spectre. Spectres do not take damage from physical attacks. They can pass through obstacles and provide visibility. They apply curses like fear and movement speed decrease to low-level opponents. Now there is only one thing left to do. But his Anubis form is about to expire, so going into the Devil's Gateway will be suicide right now. A notification pops up telling Sungwoo that he can save the level of the Devil's Gateway in the scroll he has. Still, the difficulty level of the dungeon will increase by 1 if Sungwoo saves it. This is good for Sungwoo because if the difficulty increases, then the rewards will increase as well. Sungwoo saves the Devil's Gateway into the scroll, and it changes the description of the Devil's Gateway. Now, the Devil's Gateway will open into the second floor instead of the first floor. Upon usage, this item will open a door leading to the Devil's Cave for 36 hours. Sungwoo can obtain very rare items upon exploring the inside of this cave. Still, it is not recommended to recklessly challenge the cave. Once the Devil's Gateway is opened, then the player can go inside, but the monsters inside the gate can come out as well. The suggested level for exploring the cave is 43. All players who survive this battle start cheering for the Necromancer. After some time, the time limit for the Anubis form expires, and Sungwoo feels a lot of pain due to the decrease in his stats. Another notification pops up congratulating Sungwoo for completing the exclusive quest called Duty of the Guardian. He can now choose between a regular demigod state or a class change ticket. Sungwoo has no need for a job change, and Hanho is the only one in his party who needs a change of class. But Hanho is now utilizing his class to the max, and his growth potential could actually be the greatest among his friends. Sungwoo chooses the regular demigod state. Sungwoo can now choose between 3 demigods of death. The first one is Anubis, and the second one is Thanatos, also known as the god of sleep. The third one is called Yamraj. Sungwoo thinks that there are several gods related to death. Still, he can choose between these 3, and he is curious about the abilities of other demigods, but he does not have much choice. Sungwoo finally makes up his mind, and he chooses Anubis, the god of death. His current demigod power is at level 1. Sungwoo can activate his demigod state for 1 hour per day. After activating the demigod state, all of his stats will increase by 10%, and he can also transform into a lich state for 1 hour. Now, Sungwoo doesn't need the Werebeast transformation capsule anymore, but the time to maintain the skill is not much. But right now he is on level 1, so maybe it will increase once his demigod level rises. The players thank Sungwoo from the bottom of their hearts, and they tell him that they are ready to do anything for him. They also heard that Sungwoo was forming a 3rd faction, so they asked him if they could join his faction as well. Sungwoo tells them that there is still some time until the 3rd faction is formed, and he asks them about why they want to join the 3rd faction. The player looks around to gather his thoughts. He then informs Sungwoo that there is nothing more important than safety in this world, and since they were saved by Sungwoo, they can rely on his help in the future. Sungwoo tells them to join the Devil or the Angel faction if they still want to rely on someone else, because he won't be doing that. Sungwoo starts leaving, and the player curiously asks him, then what is the purpose of this 3rd faction, and what else can his purpose be in a world like this other than safety? Choosing the 3rd faction was just due to some coincidence, but breaking the angel statue was because he was sure of something. Because there is something that can become only possible if one gets out of the control of the angel or devil faction. Sungwoo informs the players that he is forming this 3rd faction in order to find a solution to this ridiculous phenomenon. He will not randomly accept people into his faction. He will gather people with the same goal as him and see this game to the end. The player tells Sungwoo that maybe they are still not fit to join him. Sungwoo asks Hanho if the broadcast has ended, and at the same time he gets a system notification. The system congratulates Sungwoo for completing the faction quest. As a reward, he will be given a faction skill and a faction item. Hanho quickly jumps towards Sungwoo to tell him that he received an emergency call from Suwon Town. It turns out that someone attacked their town while they were not present there. Sungwoo gets worried, and he tells everyone to get ready as they will fly there as fast as they can. But before they can leave, Hanho informs him that the players of Suwon Town have already captured the intruders without taking any damage.